Listen, how that nigga paid to come out here and do that bullshit. You know what I mean? Trying to show you so. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, RAWCHAA, QADASH. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, taught us the truth. Honors and salutations to the elect. And to the men that died doing the work, Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, because they shut up us first. To the men, women, and children that believe on the true name of the Father and the Son, which the Father's name is Yahawah, he exists, and the Son's name is YAHAWASHI, he is the deliverer. Because he's come to deliver us out of this captivity that we're in. It's the Church of Philadelphia, once again on the highways and hedges, prophesying the downfall of America, a.k.a. Babylon, a.k.a. Nineveh, a.k.a. the daughter of Babylon, a.k.a. basically a piece of shit, man. And through all the a.k.a. Rome, and you can go a.k.a. Greece, a.k.a. Egypt, you know, Sodom and Gomorrah. It's all those places, man, you know. And as the title says, this place is a disgrace, all right? And we know it. Like, yo, we come out here, a man out here whooping and hollering about, now you got spirits on them, man. You know? And that's the, and that's the, what you get for dealing with different gods, man. You know? Going throughout history. Go back to Daniel's time, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego's time, Jeremiah's time, Isaiah's time, Amos's time, you know, Zephaniah's time, Isaac's time, you know, Samson's time. You know, we always been going at it with these different gods of these different nations, which our people want to follow. And yo, following that, that's going to get you death, man. All right, and that's why we come out here week in and week out, through the weeks, doing videos to show you your downfalls, man. As the scriptures told us, you know, prophesy to tell our people their transgressions. All right, and what's a transgression? That's sin. That's a transgression. That's going against the law. All right. Matter of fact, can you grab that and get around with it when you that lost? I don't know how to grab something. That's something. I do. Go, bring it up.
Okay. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 35, verse number 1. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it.
That's right, yo, Mount Seir. All you gotta do is the history and look who was in that region. You know, the Edomites. You know, look at everything that's around you. The infrastructure of this place is designed just like Mount Seir, man. You know, because they're comfortable with the stones. Yo, Esau represents death, man. Edom. You know, the red, like Rothschilds, the red child. You know, why was they known as the red child? Because their blood shows through their skin, man. You know, when they get embarrassed, their whole face turns red. Jake don't get like that. You know, so they design everything just like their previous lands. well, their previous land that was given to them, which is going to be taken away at the end of the day. Once their 1,000 years is up, all the other nations is going to go back to their lands, what the Lord gave them. But we're going to take Esau's land, the same way they took ours. All right, so it's a balance. All right, and like in 1944, and that 3-day war, that's when they gave that land, which they call Israel, to the Palestinians, basically. Those are the same people. And Netanyahu is from Pennsylvania. He grew up in Cheltenham. All right, and if you know the history of Philadelphia and all that, like you go out in that area, you got a lot of Greeks, you got a lot of so-called Jewish people, and you have it's like a lot of foreigners. You got Turkey. There's a lot of Europeans out there like that. Let's put it in a whole nutshell. All right. Hey, my God, Shalom, boy, YAHAWASHI. But when you go out to those Greek that area, you will understand fully. Because America is nothing but a melting pot. All right. You got a whole bunch of, like, when you go into different neighborhoods, there's different people, man. And they put you in those regions, man. You know? Like when they say when we come into their neighborhoods, they go, oh, there goes the neighborhood. So that's like they would say what's that, depreciation or something, it falls. All right? Because it will be at one point, once they see Jake move in, they was like, oh shit, the Edomites don't want to live around Jake.
Gentrification.
Yeah, gentrification. And that's what they've been doing it. And what they're doing is trying to, well, basically the Lord is allowing this to happen now in these times, because you got Esau moving back into the neighborhoods. I'm talking about the hoods, you know, but they know nothing about. But they're moving there, and they don't get touched or none of that. But you have your own people want to kill each other. But when them Edomites is out there, they'll wait for them to go inside. You know, but the Lord is changing it, going to Deuteronomy 30:7, when all the curses is being taken off of us and put onto them.
No, I was just thinking.
You know? But I seen a video with the Edomites, man, and he was in the forest. It was a whole, it was a herd of cattle attacking him, and he was hiding behind a tree. And yo, it's funny because the tree was actually red, man. You know, representing him, and them cattle was on his ass. So the animals hate Esau. The Lord hates Esau because he said it. You know, and his time is up. All that pride and arrogance is coming to a screeching halt, man. All right, it's coming to a screeching halt. Got it, brother.
It says, verse 3, I say unto it, thus saith the Lord God, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee.
That's right.
And I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate.
That's right. So what you think is happening right now? You know? All these other nations, Joe, they like a, how would you say, like a hungry lion that hasn't eaten in days, and they looking at a meal. Like they say in New York, they be like, yo, that nigga food. That nigga food, son. That nigga food. Meaning what? They about to come and F you up, man. You know? And that's what all these other nations doing. Like Gog and Magog, you know, shit. Yo, the Lord is against those places, man. Even though Russia is doing what they're doing, the Lord is putting a battery in their back to do something. You know, they just had, Hezbollah? Hezbollah just had a strike on Israel, the Israelis, and they said this was the most horrific, or basically it was the most vicious attack since they've been going at it, man. You know, always something, but Hezbollah just did an attack on Israel, which was recently, because I was reading it on the way to camp. I'm like, dang. So the Lord is, then that's Amalek. All right. So the Lord is turning it up on them people, man. All right. Just like you got Israel scattered on the four corners of the earth, man. The greatest people on the earth, and that's a mystery. All All right? That's a mystery to some people because they look at a person and be like, yo, he looks like this or he's of that nation. How do you know that? That's why the scriptures say, try the spirit by the spirit. All right? That's why we live peaceable among men because you don't know you could be condemning an elect member or 1/3 member. And now you just violated the Lord, man. You know? So you got to understand these things, man. All right? Go ahead, bro.
Verse 4, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord.
That's right.
Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel.
Now check this out. Coming into the up and coming times, like I keep mentioning, because this is a hot topic right now. Project 2025, which they said is going to start January 20th of next year, when your new president gets inaugurated. And from that point on, they have plans, 180 days, which that's a half a year. But there's only 365 days in a year.
6 months. Yeah,
that's a 6-month plan. Day by day by day. Every day they wake up. Matter of fact, Salaki. Because that's heavy. But I want to read this real quick. There you go. Yep. Psalms 36, 4. All right, check it out. And yo, that's the brother said a 6-month plan on the agenda that they have. It basically is going against Jake. What the brother just read, their perpetual hatred towards their brother. All right, and we are their brother. We're 10 brothers. We're twin brothers from in the womb, going back to Genesis chapter 25, verse 25. All right, when it talks about how Esau was born, and you could go up a little bit more, and it tells you how how we were struggling against each other. Now, right now, everything, this is the quiet before the storm, and everybody thinking Esau's their man and all that, and they vote for Trump and all, but yo, and his name is mentioned in this document over 100 some times, man. All right, so if he is to be the next president, right? He'll be a dictator, and he's going to bring the hammer down, man. All the way down. All right, so I'm going to go to Psalms chapter 36 and 4. All right. Because this plan, this agenda took some time, man. It took, what they say, meticulous calculation. All right, so this is Psalms chapter 36, verse 4. It says, he deviseth mischief upon his bed. He setteth himself in a way that is not good. He abhorreth not evil. All right, so he don't abhor, he don't hate it, he loves it. You know, and he's coming for the heads of the Israelites, man. All right, he's coming for us. And they got their plan that, yo, all these plans are said, no, let's go here real fast. Micah 2 and 1. All right. It says,
because these are gradual steps.
That's right, cut. That's right, yeah, cut.
They just bring everything, because they know that this is their last chance.
That's right, yeah.
So they're trying to be critique about everything they do, but they know that they have but a short time. So that's why also they're getting sloppy too.
That's right.
You know, and the elect, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices.
Right.
That's why we watch these current events.
That's right, yeah.
That's what we watch it for.
That's right.
These people ain't watching for things like this. That's why they're going to get caught like a thief in the night. You know how break loose.
Right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Yo, this is Micah chapter 2, verse 1. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. And see that? It's in the power of their hand, man. That's why they write these grievous things, prescribing them. You know, like a doctor. What a doctor do, he prescribes you medicine and all that. So, yo, they're writing these things to basically to get us off the highways and hedges. You know? Because the truth is and yo, that document speaks about how The free speech is going to be shut down. You ain't going to be able to talk about slavery, talk about religion and all that. They're shutting you down. They're going to make everything, basically they're going to make the Bible illegal. All right? Cut. That's right. So we ain't going to be honest. That's right. Cut. Yo. Cut. Go ahead, bro.
Like the platforms, they're going to shut platforms down.
That's right.
And that's what the whole cyber attack the other day was about. A trial run to see how quick they could stop certain things. You know? And it was only for one day. And in that one day, there was like about 500 flights canceled. A lot of people couldn't travel. Some people died in the hospital.
That's right, yeah.
People couldn't cash out when they needed it.
Yeah.
So just like that. Suddenly.
That's right.
Suddenly.
That's right, bro. That's right.
And they said that what people on their back, they do these diligent searches. You know? So they know the reaction of the people in the long run. That's why they preparing all this.
That's right.
All these people worrying about the Olympics, partying, bullshit, thinking this place is just gonna continue flourishing, man.
That's right. Hey, the brother thought there, the brother Magan. It's the book of Judith, chapter 16, verse 17. It says, woe to the nations that rise up against my kindred. And who is your kindred? Your fellow Israelites, man. All right, because, yo, you got to know who your enemy is. And yo, you about to find out, because you want to be buddy, join hand with him. What the scriptures say? It says, though hand join hand, the wicked shall not altogether go unpunished. All right? So we're trying to join hand with YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM QADASH. All right? Not these other, not these devils, man. Because while we know the weather, all right, we know the storm is coming. All right, and that storm is going to be ferocious. All right, the most vicious storm that you ever went through in your life. All right, it's coming right here to Babylon. And when I say storm, I ain't talking about the weather. All right, I'm talking about the things that the Lord has. The way Esau has an agenda, so does YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. All right, and it's called through the prophecies. All right, and that's why we're able to weather the storm, and we understand. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices. All right, then look at that. Now the wind's not going crazy. That storm is coming. You know, that storm is coming. Hey, call on YAHAWAH BAHASHAM QADASH, man, because the spirit is moving heavy, man. All right. But going back to what the brother got up there, Judith, chapter 16 and 17, and the water for that precept, bro. It says, woe to the nations that rise up against my kindred. YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI Almighty will take vengeance on them in the day of judgment, and putting fire and worms in their flesh, and they filled it, and they shall fill them, and weep forever. And that's right, man. That's a badass scripture, you know, because they're going to weep forever, man. You know? And look what we got to deal with out here. You got this fool over here. Put him out there. You want to... We out here doing a whole bunch of nothing. Look. Then he pointing at us, right? He pointing at us. That's how I know it's a demon on me, man. And look, the wind is picking up. And all that, man. Yo, the spirit is out here. You know? Who knows if that nigga is set up to be out here? We don't know. But one thing I do know, he got hella demons on him, man. You out here talking to the spirits that's on you. And everybody else is fucking recording you. But he over here looking at us like he want our attention, but he's not going to get it, man. All right? You know? Anyway, you got something?
Yeah. But Ezekiel 35 and verse 5. Because thou hast had perpetual hatred, has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword.
Right.
And the scriptures tell you, I believe it's in Genesis, where it says that Esau is thy sword. It says that Esau is thy sword. You know? That's how they shed the blood of the children of Israel. You know? So-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, which are the biblical Israelites. We never went extinct. We're still here. You know? Because if that's the case, then why didn't he let us go? Right? But anyway, it says...
Damn, not yo, damn.
Which
That's Genesis 27.
Wow. So I'm going to read this and then it says, I will lay thy cities, no, Slack, verse 5, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the course of the sword. In the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee, saying, thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee.
That's right. Yo, they ain't hate blood. And yo, blood is the life of the body, man. All right? Because when you hit a person and they bleed out, that's why they die, because their life is leaving their body. You know? And Esau loves to shed blood, man. And he's about to show you once again that he loves doing that. You know? Because we've been teaching about this man. We've been telling you that he's a devil that the Bible speaks of. Which devil means, the word devil just means what? A deceiver, man. And he's been deceiving you to believe in him. All right? The jig is up, Esau. All right? We out here exposing you. But our people, and that's why they keep that so much entertainment and things on the table so that you would still believe and trust in him. So with that being said, they want to shut our mouths up, man. This dude is walking around, he's not even doing nothing. You're not even catching the bus. You're just out here with demons on you. You know, Jake is finished, bro. They done, man. You know? He reminds me of that man that had them legions of demons on him. You know? And that's the condition of Israel right now, man. You know? And what the brother asked for, this is Genesis chapter 40, chapter 27. I'm gonna start at verse 40. Because this goes into Esau's blessing. And that's how you know that he is the sword. All right, and yo, King David, Malak the Wad even mentioned that, right? You know, a matter of fact, let me show y'all this too. Look at this guy. He's over here praising Allah. Where you at? You get him? Look at him. See him? He's over there praying to the wrong God. And we out here with the right power, with the truth. But yeah, he'd rather do that. But whatever. Like the brother said, Jake is through. All right, but this is Genesis chapter 27, verse 40. It says, and by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. All right, so by the sword shalt thou live, man. They gotta, that's right, brother, they tripping, man. You know, but hey, that's a stumbling block. That's why they tripping. But, you know, so by the sword, Esau has to live. When we get into our kingdom, we ain't gonna have to study no war no more. The scriptures tell you that. All right, we're not going to have to fight for anything. Everything is going to be given to us. All right, everything is going to be given to us as soon as you ask for it. Why? Because you're going to be fully righteous. You're going to be in your right mind. You ain't going to want for nothing, and that's what's coming, man. Never going to sin. Coming. That's right. That's like the brother said. We never going to sin, man. Because the wages of sin is death, and that's why you Jakes is out here dying, man. So he got security of his breath. He gonna be security soon, bro. You know? Jake gonna be security soon. Alright, check it out. It says Genesis chapter 27, verse 40. It says, and by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. So they're gonna have to serve us. And that right there lets you know that Esau is our brother, man. Alright? Going into what he said, yo, Shalak Rayum, man. Shalak Rayum. Shalak Rayum. God damn, I'm sick of this nigga, man. Fucking demons on me. And if you don't repent, I hope Shalak Rayam, man. Nadad, no. Nadad Mayan Shatan. Nadad Mayan Shatan. Nadad Mayan Shatan. Demons out of here, man. Because the wicked flee with no man pursueth, man. You know? But anyway, going back to Genesis 27 and 40, it says, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. All right? Because we're going to come into our power, man. All right? Our dominion is coming, man. All right? But right now, we have to go through the motions. All right? We got to suffer because the Lord put us in this place because we were disobedient to him. And all these things that we're showing you, man, we're showing you too. Like the Spirit is showing you. Men praying to other gods, and that's why we went off. As a matter of fact, we can try to operate some scripture on that too. Oh, and yo, that's crazy. And the title of this camp is "This Place is a Disgrace." And yo, the Lord is showing us all the reasons why this place is a disgrace through the Spirit, man. All right. It says, verse 41. It says, and Esau hated Jacob. You see that? Esau hated Jacob. Why do you hate Jacob? Because Jacob is righteous, man. Check it out. It says, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And what was that blessing? The kingdom. All right? He's going to serve us. Esau's going to serve us. But that's why he got our people in the trick bag where we're serving him, and he thinks that he's making you think that he's going to rule forever. But if you have eyes to see, you will see that his kingdom is falling, man. You know, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. Look at our ancestors, man. In every captivity that we were in, we always prevailed. We always flourished. Why? Because we serve YAHAWASHI YAHAWASHI. And YAHAWASHI YAHAWASHI had to leave that remnant there to let you know, like he's still in control, man. He like, I could punish you, but you're still going to serve me. But I'm going to show you in your punishment, I'm still going to have favor towards you. You know? And if you're a real man in the Lord, you understand what's saying, man. You know? It says that Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father had blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, and here it goes, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. All right, so yo, that's his mentality. That's his mindset, man. All right, and guess what? He's about to do the same thing in his up and coming time. And I'm gonna mention it again, Project 2025, man.
Hey, you know it's his days is at hand.
That's right.
Like you just read.
You know his time is short. You know?
Because he said he lived by the sword.
That's right.
So you're going to die by that shit too, man. Same, you know, unjust laws that they, you know, they want to ban this and that. They want to ban everything. They want to take away your full liberty, your full rights of everything.
Right.
They control you through their technology. Because that technology is part of your sword as well.
That's right, yeah.
You know, the military, the guns, the technology. Television destroyed more people than the guns.
No, that's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
False information.
Yeah.
You know?
Which they try to say that's what we're doing.
And that's deceiving the masses.
That's right, bro.
Telling lies to your bishop to their lying. You know? That's why they want to shut us down, because we're talking the truth.
That's right.
You know? The apostles on down and that same men that's like-minded in the same doctrine, the same name. You see it. No, the Lord allows you to see.
That's right. See that, yo, and this nigga just said they say always don't believe, but they feel. Yo, we believe. We're fully persuaded through YAHAWASHI YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM QADASH, that we're telling the truth. And that's the only reason why we out here. As the scriptures say, let every man be persuaded in his own mind. We ain't out here trying to change nobody's mind. You believe what you believe. But the truth is always going to prevail. All right? Whether you believe it or not. It don't matter what you believe. It's about the truth. All right? It's about the truth. That's why we go through history. We give you dates and all that, man. So you look at and research it for yourselves to see if men are lying to you. All right? It's all written, man. It's all in the books. But Jake don't want to pick up a book. They rather get high like this dumbass nigga out here and look at him, all them demons on him. And Esau not even paying him no mind because they know he's not a threat.
Right, exactly.
You know, they know that man not a threat because what knowledge does he have in his mind? He's working with Esau, basically. He's an adversary for Esau.
That's how they want all our people.
Exactly, bugged out. That's right, brother. That's right. And yo, I'm going to read that again, bro. I'm going to read that again. It says, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand, then I will slay my brother Jacob, you know? And yo, that's why they make those things, those chemicals and everything to have you all jacked up in your mind. So you'll act like that. So you're unaware of his plans, man, you know? You're unaware of his devices and all that, all right? So check it out. I'm gonna grab this real quick. 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and 11. Real fast. This dude, he really good on my nerves, man. It's always something. Yeah, kind of always something, man. He protected. This is 2 Corinthians chapter. This nigga talking about the Wizard of Oz, man. God damn. This is that's not even funny, it's sad. But this is 2 Corinthians chapter 2. I'm gonna start at verse 10. It says, to whom ye forgive anything, I forgive also, for if I forgive anything, to whom I forgave it, for your sakes forgave I it, in person of Hamashiach. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices, man. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices. And yo, what that man is going through, that's one of Satan's devices. No matter what type of chemical he put into his body, that's that demon took over. It consumed him. You know? Like a person that smokes weed, it's a spirit hops right on him. A person that does heroin, as soon as they ingest that you see that demon go over their body, they can't even control it. They be in there, but the actions after that, that's a demon on him. Like a person that smokes crack, when he inhales that stuff, immediately his whole spirit changes, it shifts, and the demon comes on his body and controls him, just like that man over there. It's the demon on him controlling him. Is he still in there? Yeah, he's still in there, but he allowed that demon into him, man. You know? It's like you go into what? Legion and all that. That's why he's talking madness, man. You can't make these things up.
Yeah, that's hard because you gotta consume that.
That's right.
So you gotta put it in you.
Exactly.
It's like watching shit. People consume things every day. You know, that's why you gotta be careful with what you consume. You know what I mean? Because yo, we battle not, as it tells you in Ephesians, we battle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So whatever you consume, you gotta be careful because you can become that. People listen and they consume false information, they become that. That's their livelihood. That's what they, you know? It's like you join in one with that spirit, whatever, you know?
Taking it.
Whether you're drinking it, smoking it, inhaling it, listening to it, watching it. You know, some way or how it's affecting your spirit, you know? And that's why Scripture tells you, we know that all these things are going to be resolved. All manner of man ought to be what? In all holy conversation.
Right.
You speak it, you want that spirit to, that's why prayer is important.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right. And yo, my God, we wish that nigga would ease on down the road. That's what he needs to do, you know? But concerning that, this is Mark chapter 5, starting at verse, matter of fact, I'm going to start at the top, you know, just to give you some substance on what we're speaking of, all right? Because that man, he's tormented, man, all right? The headliner says the garrison demonic, all right? It says, and they came over unto the other side of the sea, into the country of Gadarenes. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. All right. So right now that man, he has an unclean spirit on him. And this is talking about YAHAWASHI and the disciples when they came to this land. They got off the ship and everything, and immediately they was beaten with this. So as soon as we came out here, we was setting up. And we're not trying to say we like that, but we was greeted with that, man. You know, before we even cut the cameras on, we started, you know, lacing up for camp. The man standing over there pointing at us. You know, so them demons know the spirits that's on you. He wasn't bothering nobody else. The young boys coming, taking pictures of him and recording them and all that. And he was unbothered. Why? Because that's the spirit on him, man. You know? But it says, verse 2, it says, verse 3. It says, who had his dwelling among the tombs? And what's the tombs? That's death, man. All right? And that right there, what that man is doing is death, man. All right? This place is a disgrace to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH, and that's why it has to be erased. All right? Which the Lord is going to do that real soon, man. All right? And it says, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man could bind him, no, not with chains. That's how strong those demons was on him, man. Matter of fact, to prove that, all you gotta do is look at our poltergeist. Where do you think they got that from? And that little girl was possessed. She was possessed with demons. They tried to bring in the preachers. Yo, how can Satan cast out Satan? You know? You bring the preacher with that preacher, he doesn't know the names of Yahawah and YAHAWASHI. He's coming with a cross, where the cross represents death. That represents the execution of YAHAWASHI. So how you bringing death to death and thinking you're going to cast out death? It doesn't make sense.
Right.
You know?
Right. You know, the exorcist.
That's right.
They try to take the demon out the person's body.
That's right, Con.
And then the demons start, they call on JC.
Yup.
Which we know those initials.
Con, yup.
Right? And the demons start laughing.
Yup, Con, exactly.
Even though, even they, the demons, even they know the real name.
That's right.
Even they know the real name.
That's right.
Because when YAHAWASHI was walking in the flesh, they thought he was going to judge him right then and there.
That's right. That's right. That's
so they
right.
knew that was him. That's why when prophets, you know, the demons know who you are through the spirit. We might not know.
Right.
We hope we don't, man.
Yup.
But that's why you got triggers around you when you start speaking His word, man.
That's right. Yup.
You know,
right.
because
That's
it's
right.
real, it's truth, it's spiritual.
Right. But yo, them demons can't outlast the spirit and power of YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. They're gonna burn themselves up. Because we were built for endurance. They were only built for but a short time. You know? We're built to endure. That's why we still standing here. You carrying and that nigga still here, he came back. I guess that spirit heard that, like, oh shit. I'm still here, nigga. You know? That's right, Con. Because his power is fading away. But check it out, it says because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains. That's like they tried to lock him up, but them demons were strong. All right. It says, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the feathers broken in pieces. Neither could any man tame him, man. So they telling you, like, now when you get arrested or whatever, they put the cuffs on you, can't no man break them. But this man had so many spirits on him, and them chains back then was thick as hell, man. And he's breaking them. All right? Them demons, them demons have strength. All right? That's why a man, when them demons hop on you, you can't control them. If you're not a man of the Lord, them demons can hop on you, man. And I'm going to prove that. Matter of fact, man, that vagabond Jews, it talks about, you know what I'm saying? It says, and always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs crying and cutting himself with stones. So, obviously this man, he wanted to be delivered, but he ain't know how to do it. You know, so when YAHAWASHI came, that's why they was met immediately. Because that man and himself, he wanted them demons off of him. He was being tormented. And that's what demons do. They make you dwell around death, man.
He was cutting himself.
Yeah, you harming your own flesh. You know? And that's what they do. You see, like, I'm telling you, go down Kensington and you see the condition of the people and the things that they do, you be like, God damn, that's crazy. All right? And they're harming themselves. All right? But it says, but when he saw YAHAWASHI far off, he ran and worshipped him. All right? Going into them demons, they knew the spirit of YAHAWASHI. That's why they ran and worshiped. He ran to worship because he knew that even in all his torment, he knew that YAHAWASHI was the only one that could deliver him from that torment that he was going through. And that's why we run to his name, because his name is a strong tower. And whoever runs to it and trusts and believes on it, they shall be delivered and saved, man. All right? It says, and cried with a loud voice and said, what have I to do with thee, YAHAWASHI? Thou son of the Most High God, power. I adjure thee by the Most High that thou torment me not. All right, so them demons was like, damn.
That was the same chapter.
Right, what you just mentioned. That's why I was like, that's the spirit.
I jumped again.
Yeah, I mean, that's the spirit. No,
that's the spirit. Though.
But you just led up to that. You know? So that's why it's like, what do you have to do with me? Like, right now is my time. I'm supposed to be the one ruling. Now, I'm supposed to be tormenting them, but they ran to YAHAWASHI, man. You know? Because they felt his energy, they felt his spirit. That's how much of a presence YAHAWASHI's spirit is, man. All right? That's how strong it is. All right? It says, for he said unto him, come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. He rebuked him. All right? And he asked him, what is thy name? And he answered, saying, my name is Legion, for we are many. So that man had hella demons on him, man. All right? He had hella demons on him. He ain't just had one. He had a legion. Matter of fact, you know what? Let's get that word legion, man.
And there's a movie called Legion.
Yo, kind.
Where all the demons started coming, and the boy was fighting all of them, but they looked like people. Regular, you know, like this old lady.
Yeah,
she came in the restaurant.
She's like, the baby's gonna burn.
Yeah, she started
gonna burn. That bitch turned into a look.
That bitch started crawling on the ceiling.
And that's seeing that show you the power and the possession of them demons, man. But check it out. This is Legion. I'm gonna play it in so you can hear it.
Strong's G 3003. Legion.
All right, it says Legion in the Greek, right? It says a legion, a body of soldiers whose number differed at different times, and in the time of Augustus seems to have consisted of 6,826 men. All right, it says, i.e., 6,100 foot soldiers and 726 horsemen. So and this was around the time of Augustus Caesar, so that's Rome, right? So look, 6,826. So this man could have had 6,826 demons on him, man. That's why he was cutting his flesh and breaking chains and all that. Just imagine, because a lot of people, they only got one demon on them. But once you come into this word, and then you backslide, you go back into the world, now you bring 7 more demons upon yourself. that was stronger than the one that you first had on you, man.
Which is just a complete mountain.
That's right. That's right, cut. That's right, bro. That's right. It says that he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country. Now there was nigh unto the mountains a great herd of swine feeding, and all the devils besought him, saying, send us into the swine that we may enter into them. You know that?
Yeah, I think it was like 2,000. Yeah.
Come.
Yo, and that shows you that this name, the name of Yahweh, and his only begotten son YAHAWASHI, is truly, truly powerful.
That's right.
Just like the lady that got shot by the cop, by her own critic. He came in whatever. You could tell he was itching for something. Because if it was, you have mass riots and that. But like, she tried to rebuke him in the name of JC. And he shot her in the face.
Yep. And he told her.
You know?
And she said, man, I'll shoot you in your effing face. He told her that from the rip, man. You know? So, with all that, man, like that name ain't safe. And that was her judgment. That's why it's important to call on Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM QADASH. You gotta know those names, man. If you don't know those names, then you don't have any wisdom, man. And not just know them, believe on them. All right? But the scripture says, believe on me as the scripture says. And yo, that's another point. They ran into what? The swine. Knowing that that's an unclean animal. You know, it's unclean. You're not supposed to eat it. You're not supposed to touch the flesh of a swine, man. But yet, Jake, you want to eat that shit. Yo, these devils, they know that. That's why they feed it to you. And they put it in all type of different foods and all that. You know, to try to trick you. You know, like they did the one elder, man. And then they told him, yo, just act like you. We'll give you chicken, but act like it's pork and eat it, so you could deceive your congregation. And he was like, no, I ain't doing that, man. Because he was a higher up elder, man. He was of age, and he had a good rapport with the people. All right, so that's why I'm saying we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, and we're not bowing down to it. All right, we keep going. It says, and look, that nigga, he done faded off to me. It says, and forthwith YAHAWASHI gave them leave, and the unclean spirit went out and entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. There were about 2,000, right? There was about 2,000, and they were choked in the sea. And they that fed the swine fled. They that fed the swine fled and told it in the city and in the country. And they went out to see what it was that was done. All right, so that was a miracle that Yahweh.
Spiritually, that's why, we got holy days when we fast. We got, you know what I mean? So,
got the Day of Atonement coming up.
You know?
Next month, the end of next month, I believe.
Everybody got spirits in them. You know, we vessels. But what spirit are these people coming with?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's why you can't look at, that's why the scripture said the Lord looks at the inward part of man. Somebody could come more glamorous, clean, suit, and all that. You're easy to be deceived. You know? It's a complete every word.
That's right.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 19, verse 13. It says, then certain of the vagabond Jews exorcists took upon them to call over them which had evil spirits the name of the Lord YAHAWASHI, saying, we adjure you by YAHAWASHI, or preached, and
right, God.
They didn't say Jesus Christ.
Right.
Because YAHAWASHI, first of all, the letter J wasn't even created back then.
Right.
You know? So when you say in Jehovah, they have not known, it's really Yahweh. You know? But the Lord took the name away for a certain period of time.
Right.
In our captivity in Egypt.
Right.
You know? But then what? You know, the Lord spoke to what? Paul in Hebrew. So he had to give him that, because if he spoke to Paul in Hebrew, he had to talk to Moses in Hebrew. You know what I mean?
Right.
It only makes sense. So therefore, he had to call upon that name, YAHAWAH. Alright? So it says, so the demon was like, yo, YAHAWASHI I know, Paul I know, but who are you? You know?
They ain't have no authority.
And the man in whom the evil spirit was leaped on them and overcame them and prevailed against them, so that they fled out of that house naked and wounded.
Right, so they got jacked up by them spirits. You know? Like, yo, just like if we was in the wrong spirit, that spirit could have prevailed over us. But we're still out here teaching, and that spirit is gone, man. You know? Because it's the vibration that you put out here. Alright? And it's the words of YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, BAHASHAM, QADASH that does that. It's not us. We don't have any power at all, man. All we doing is speaking his name and speaking his word. And that makes the spirits flee. You know? He couldn't withstand the power of YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, QADASH. It's like yesterday when I was down walking downtown, we had a group of Israelites out there. I believe a lot of them was there was Ephraim, and I believe it was one which looked like a Judite. He could have been a Gadite or another tribe. I don't know, because I really didn't get a chance to talk to them. But they was out there prophesying, and there was some guys that came across the street that started still right where they were standing there. They started singing, talking about JC and all that. And I stopped. I was like, wow. I told him Shalom and everything. I know they're Israelites, but yo, when you in the right spirit, stuff like that don't happen, man. You know, and that's why, like the brother just read that. He said, Peter I know, Paul I know, but who are you? Those spirits can't. They have no authority or no power over you, man.
That's right.
If you fully, truly believe in YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, with your whole heart, man.
That's right.
You know? As a matter of fact, can you grab that in Deuteronomy when it says, you know? Because, yo, the Lord told us to choose who we was going to serve. All right? And ain't no half-stepping, there's no wavering. Either you fully in or you fully out. There's no lukewarmness. Because the Lord said if you're lukewarm, he's going to spew you out of his mouth, man. All right? And that's something harsh for me to hear, man.
Yo, and also, there's a lot of men like to give Satan and these demons too much credit.
That's right. Satan has no power.
Like, yo, look at Job.
Satan
couldn't, do what he really wanted to do to Job.
Right. Yep.
He had a boundary where he couldn't pass.
That's right.
It's like these people out here, they got a bound so where they can't pass.
That's right.
Because once they do, the Lord's going to clip them.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So Satan is the top angel on the left-hand side, for Yahweh, for these demons.
And he's also the son of Yahweh, too.
Past that bound.
He's one of the sons, too.
You know what I'm saying?
But the church, you said at the church, they're blowing gaskets, man.
Yeah.
But the scriptures say that. In Job chapter 1, he said the sons of God, man. And he said, and Satan was among them. So what does that tell you? That Satan he was created by Yahweh. So that's his son as well, man. That's the son of God. Just like you had Cain and Abel. Abel was the righteous vessel. Cain was the wicked. You know? Right here on the planet. That's right. That's right. That's right.
But this is the book of Joshua, chapter 24, verse 15. It says, and if it see evil unto you to serve the Lord Yahweh. Choose you this day whom ye will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in those lands ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord Yahweh, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH.
That's right. That's right. You know, so he told you, choose this day who you will serve, man. What are you going to serve? And Jeremiah even warned you about that, man. Jeremiah warned you in the letter of Jeremiah, all right? He told you, when you get sent to this land, Babylon, you're going to see people serving other gods of wood and stone, carrying them on their shoulders, bowing down to them. And yo, in that time, because that was a time of our punishment, you know? That was a time of our punishment for us to be afflicted because we didn't listen to Yahawah Shem Yahushai, man. You thought it was sweet, you know? Being as though you thought it was sweet, our people were serving those gods because the same way they served them right here in Babylon, man. You know, which we showed you earlier, the man bowing down, praying, you know, towards the east, which he wasn't even facing the east, man. The east is that way. He facing this way. That's north. You know? And then when you pray, you're not even supposed to pray in front of everybody, man.
Right, exactly.
You do that in your own secret closet. So when you pray in front of everybody, basically all they're saying is that you know, so people could be like, oh, look at him, he's a righteous man, he's this, he's that. No, man, that's crazy.
Right.
You know?
Lord tells you, go to your closet.
That's right. That's why I said, choose you this day who you will serve. And we've been saying that to y'all. Who are you going to serve? You going to choose Yahawah, or you going to choose these damn devils and all these gods here in Babylon? And if you choose all these gods in Babylon, guess what? You're going to fall just like them. You know? I'm going to leave that Shalak. We keep messing with the live, man.
All right, scripture.
Go ahead, brother.
This is the book of Judges, chapter 10, verse 14. It says, go and cry unto the gods which ye have chosen. Right? It says, let them deliver you in the time of your tribulation.
God.
So he's being sarcastic.
That's right, yeah.
Now don't cry to your stones and your wooden, false names, the idols, the this. Let them save you in the time of your tribulation.
That's right.
Jesus Christ didn't save that woman from her tribulation.
That's right.
You know?
So she thought she had it up. And that's what the nigga woman likes, man.
Yo, and a lot of these names conjure up spirits. So you're calling upon another name. Whatever deity that is, that's the spirit that you're going to have around you. So on that day, that same spirit you've been praying to is going to kill you.
Yo, huh?
You know?
Exactly.
Like when people sell out to the music, to the, you know, these industries, they worship that. They sell their souls to that. But they have a certain date to where they flourish. And then that's it. Off, you know what I'm saying? On to the next one.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? But with the Lord, man, yo, there's testimonies in the scriptures that name caused earthquakes. That name, there was deliverance.
Right.
There was deliverance, right?
That's right.
Look at when Moses did the Red Sea party. That's real historical proof. Even people that don't believe in the name can tell you that happened.
Right. Right.
These other names wasn't around like that at that time.
Right.
So who parted the flood?
You
know what I'm saying? Who parted the sea, brother?
Who bought the flood?
Who bought, yo, so, because even that's proof.
Okay.
All the lands were together.
Right.
Like, these are historical things. And proving that those names wasn't created at that time. Who was these men calling upon to cause these miracles?
That's right.
Process of elimination. Now you can call upon anything. You worship a goddamn fucking tree. You know?
Yo, God. Yo, this is Ezekiel chapter 30. And let's start at verse 6. It says, thus saith Yahawah, They also that uphold Egypt shall fail. Shalak, it shall fall. You know, so all the ones that uphold Egypt, which is the modern day Egypt is America. All right. So all that you that's upholding it, want to vote for your Kamala Harrises and your Donald Trumps and all that. Yo, you're going to fall just like them, man. You know, like the brother said. You know, it's only for a time period, man. America, it has an expiration date. All right? And it's coming fast. All right? It's upon us. You know, it's expiring. When in history have you saw the president that's running for another term just drop out the race? Oh, yeah, you can take it. I'm done. The nigga retired. He basically retired because America's about to retire, right? Okay. You know?
I'm out of here.
Okay, because he knows that his time is, he knows his time is up. They know. So that's why they want to try to, and like going back to that project 25, right? They're telling you it's going to be a dictatorship, and everyone that, the people that they're putting in the play, because I'm telling you, secretly they had to have a vote and all that, who was really with it and who wasn't. So the ones that was with it, they put them in the power. So, well, they letting them know, man, you about to come into power. This is the agenda. This is the rundown that you have to do. You have 180 days. You know, that whole thing, hey, man, that can very well just be Jacob's trouble stuff. You know, because this is the year of hope for Jacob's trouble. All right, the hope. But now they're telling you it's coming. All right, the devil is about to show his horns. Who you think, you know, you think you know who your enemy is. You think your own people. Anyway, going back. All right, so Ezekiel chapter 30, verse 6, it says, "I said, Yahawah, they also that uphold Egypt shall fall, and the pride of her power shall come down. From the tower of Syene shall they fall, and it by the sword. Said Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI power." Right? So they're going to fall by the sword. And that's their blessing. So the Lord gave them a blessing by the sword thou shalt live, and by the sword thou shalt die. You know? So that's our prophecy. The Lord told them for the people. All right, by the sword you're going to live. Every land that you got to take over, you're going to have to do it by violence, using the sword. You know? But the modern day sword is the gun. You got the nukes. You got the tanks. All right? You got missiles, you got your fighter jets, you got all those are the modern day swords. You know, that's the modern day sword. Yeah, all of that. They using all of that, man. Come on, man. Don't sweat it all, man. But it's cool. But anyway, it says Ezekiel chapter 30, verse 7, it says, "And they shall be desolate in the midst of the countries that are desolate, and their cities shall be in the midst of the cities that are wasted." All right, so it said the cities that are wasted. So America is one big city, and it's about to be wasted.
That's right.
All right, which we're telling you, man. You know, lift up your voice like a trumpet. Y'all want to lift up your voice, so we lift up ours too. And get you right the hell out of here, man.
That's right.
Well, if it was a damn Edomite standing out here talking some bullshit, you will keep you quiet, man. You know? As soon as you start lifting up your voice, what they do? They disperse. Because they can't handle the power and spirit of Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, man. BAHASHAM QADASH, man. Ain't no weapon formed against us going to prosper out this throne, man. We're standing righteously, man, boldly. All right? Anyway, and they kept trying to get louder and louder, man. You know? These niggas is crazy. The brother got another one. I'm going to get that Magan, the water, bro. It says, verse 9, Ezekiel 30 and 9, it says, "In that day shall messengers go forth from me in ships, all right, to the careless Ethiopians, afraid and great pain shall come upon them in that day of Egypt, for lo, it cometh." All right, so pain and complete anguish is coming here, man. All right, going to the book of Jeremiah, man. All right, with Jacob's trouble. All right, what's that? Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. You know? This time is up, man. All this partying and bullshit and all that junk y'all was doing, now it's coming time for your judgment, man. All right, just like every other land. All right, matter of fact, we can grab that and I'm gonna get it, Lord's willing. All right, but all of this that you're seeing is death, man, and the wages of sin is death, man. You know, what it said in Ecclesiastes, since judgment for wicked act doesn't come speedily, you know, they continue to do it. All right, but it says, thus saith YAHAWASHI shall power, I will also make the multitude of Egypt to cease by the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. All right, and your modern day Nebuchadnezzar is what? Your presidents, man. All right, and yo, by their hand, the Lord gonna make this place to cease, man. Because they're gonna be the ones that press the buttons. You know, and the Lord is going to put the power, the Spirit on him to do so. Okay? The Lord is doing all these things. He works magnificent works. Every day, judgment goes out, man. But the brother got up here, Malachi 1 and 4. You know? It says, Malachi 1 and 4. Matter of fact, I'm going to start at verse 1. The water, bro. It says, the burden of the word of Yahweh to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith Yahweh. Yet you say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith Yahweh? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. All right, and that's what's coming, man. Like you want to trust in Esau and his authority that he has, because yes, he does have authority. The Lord gave it to him. All right, but that same authority that he has, the Lord's going to take it away. All right, it says, whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places, and that's what they did, man. You know, going into what, the Renaissance era. You know, because the Dark Ages, we were ruling. So when they came back into power, they started building up. All right, and check it out. It says, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh hath indignation forever. That don't seem like some love to me, man. That means like, yo, like a Gadite. I remember Pastor Har was going to it. When a Gadite be like, yo, I hate you forever. That means that yo, he really hates you, man. I hate you forever. Very good. That means he hates you from generation to generation, man. That hate ain't never going to let up, man. You know? And that's how Yahawah hates Esau, man. That's right. They hate us forever.
They hate us. I got to do it in Psalms 5 and 6. Thou shalt destroy them that speak leasing. The Lord Yahweh will abhor the bloody and deceitful man.
Right, that's right. Right.
Who's that bloody and deceitful nation? Who's Edomites? You know, from the beginning. Since Cain and Abel.
That's right.
First murder.
That's right. Yup. That's right.
Know?
That's right.
So they in that same spirit. They in that same spirit. You know? But like the brother said, our weapons of warfare are not carnal. So we don't our only defense is the words of the Lord. Law, statutes, commandments, you know, with faith, right? And doing that which is pleasing in the sight of the Lord, that he may, you know, find you worthy on that day when all hell breaks loose. Because the Lord is going to mock these people. They want to laugh, scoff, you know, think that, you know, it's a joke, like nothing's going to happen. You know, but read the book of Proverbs, I believe it's about the first or second chapter. Now the Lord is going to laugh at these people's calamities. You know, how they laughing at us now, how they laughing at him. Right? The Lord is coming back. You know, he ain't coming back for the whole world. Only a remnant that's serving him. I got a scripture real quick. This is the book of Amos, chapter 3, verse 6. It says, shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? All right, Shalakia, technical difficulties as usual. But this is, let's read it again. Amos, chapter 3, verse 6. It says, this is why you got to fear the Lord. Knowing, like the brother mentioned earlier, he quoted, knowing the terror of the Lord, we persuade men. You know? Forget what man could do. A man can't resurrect another man and keep destroying him. But it says, Amos chapter 3, verse 6, it says, shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Right? That trumpet is this word. You know? The warnings. Right? Like Big Pun said, we gave you fair warning, beware. The Lord is giving people a fair warning. You know? Before the doors is closed. You know? It's like the time of Noah. Right? But the modern day ark is going to be the chariots. And the Lord's going to set the angels to shut the mouths of the chambers. Right?
That's right.
So it says, shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall they be evil in the city, and the Lord Yahawah have not done it?
Right. Yo, come.
You know, he's doing all of this. He's orchestrating both sides of the chessboard. You know? The deceiver and the deceiver is his. How can you go against the power like that? You know?
Right.
We got enemies here, but he created those enemies. So he can easily take them out. What's wrong with you? You know? Your gun is going to be your own enemy.
Right.
You could be your own worst enemy. So, that's why you got to seek the Lord. Fear him. That's what's going to bring you into this wisdom. Then lead you to the knowledge and understanding. You know? In due time. So it says, surely the Lord, Yahawah, will do nothing but he revealeth his secrets unto his servants the prophets. You know? The mysteries, dark sayings, parables, that understanding that we try to, you know, deliver to the people. Whoever the Lord sees fit, hey, they'll open their minds and in due season they'll be converted. But we still got to do what we got to do. Because we can't save ourselves. That's why we out here. You know, through the fear of the Lord. You know? These people, they fear the law enforcement, so they do certain things to not want to get locked up. What about doing certain things so your ass won't get, you know, die or get persecuted? I mean, you know, in a sense, you know, you'd rather be persecuted for righteousness than wickedness, you know? Knowing the terror of the Lord, we persuade men.
Oh, shit. Can't go out, bro. Yo, that shit nothing, man. Nah, yo, back to what? Going to Isaiah 45th chapter, going to King Cyrus, right? But see, the Lord, he rules in the kingdom of men, man. All right. This is Isaiah chapter 45, starting at verse 1. It says, thus saith Yahawah to his anointed, talking about to his elect. Because this whole message and everything is for the elect, and that's what God giving Cyrus for us. This will give you a little history on the man in this text right here. All right. And his name, actually Cyrus' name means possess thou the furnace. All right. He was the king of Persia. Okay. Cyrus was the king of Persia. This is during the Persian reign. All right. It says, and he conqueror of Babylon. All right. Because he had you had the Medes and the Persians. All right, you had Medial Persians, you had Persians. Persia, when you go into the two horns, right? For the Medes and the Persians, they rose higher than the Medial Persians, right? But it says, and conqueror of Babylon, first ruler of Persia, to make a decree allowing the Israelites exiled to return to Jerusalem, right? So that was around the time when they allowed us to return to our land and to what? Build up our to build up our temple. All right. He was the one that sanctioned that. But it was through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI. All right, because we were exiled out of out of Jerusalem. All right, so check it out. It says, thus saith Yahweh to his anointed, to Cyrus. You know, that's why the scriptures say, touch none of my anointed, or do my prophets no harm. All right. It says, whose right hand I have holden to subdue nations before him. So the Lord, the one that gave him those powers, just like Esau got the power now. All right, and this was the Persians. And now you know the Persian Empire, it had a rise and it had a fall as well because they got over to you. Every kingdom has a rise and a fall. All right. It says, and I will loose the lions of kings to open before him the two leaven gates, and the gates shall not be shut, the northern and the southern. Right. It says, I will go before thee and make the crooked places straight. I will break in pieces the gates of brass and cut in sunder the bars of iron. All right, so the Lord, he's the one that do all these things, man. You know, all this captivity, the Lord's going to break it into pieces, man. All right, we're not going to be in captivity forever. It says, and I will give thee the treasures of darkness. So I'm about to put this on, do not disturb. Salaka. Bear with me real quick, y'all. Hold up. Damn, got it. Okay. All right, it says, I will go before thee and make the crooked places straight. I will break in pieces the gates of brass and cut in asunder the bars of iron. And I will give thee the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places, that thou mayest know that I am Yahweh. So all the treasures of this place that we don't even know about, as right now, all right, because we haven't traveled to these different regions. But the Lord said he's going to give us all those treasures, man, in dark places that's hidden. Because look at King Charles now, he's sitting on all our riches. You know, and when Queen Elizabeth perished, when she went back to the spirit world, guess what happened? All the other nations were saying they wanted their gold, they wanted their silver back, they wanted their jewels, they wanted their diamonds back. Because what? It was stolen from them. Just like everything's been stolen from us, man. All right, but the Lord said, so that we know he's the one that gave it to us. All right, I'm going to read that again. It says, and I will give, Isaiah chapter 45:3, it says, and I will give thee the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places, that thou mayest know that I, Yahweh, so like that I, Yahweh, which called thee by thy name, am the power of Israel. All right? So all things are going to be restored back to us. Even though it looks like we're in a dark place now, because we are. But the Lord put us in, right? Check it out. It says, for Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect, I have even called thee by thy name, I have surnamed thee. I thought thou hast not known me. Salaki. It says, though thou hast not known me, I am Yahweh, and there is none else. There is no power besides me. I girded thee, thou hast not known me. All right, it says, that they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west, that there is none beside me. I am Yahweh, and there is none else. I form the light, and I create darkness. I make peace, and I create evil. I, Yahweh, do all these things, and that's the point, man. Yahweh do all that, man. He create darkness, he create light, he make good, he make evil. All right, so when you fully aware of that, so we know when these upcoming times come, it has already been planned for that specific time. When you go into what's that? You go into Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, where it says it's a time and place for everything under the sun. All right, so the Lord has this time coming up. He has Jacob's trouble specifically lined up for what? To destroy the wicked. You wicked ass Israelites of our nation, and you other nations that's going to fall victim to that, and to put us back in power. And it's that simple. It ain't hard at all. It's that simple, and that's something easy to understand and recognize. And like the brother was saying earlier, a lot of our people, they give too much credit to Satan, man. Satan has no power but what the Lord gave him.
Right.
And once you know that, because he said he gave you the power, the spirit to tread down snakes and serpents, man.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
And that's the same power that he had while he was walking the earth, man. You know, and you're going to see that through his men in the up and coming times, because yo, when the devil rises up, so is the men of the Lord. All right? Because he has to show you both sides, the good and the evil, man. Without evil, how would you know what good is? You know, without good, how would you know what evil is? That's a discernment, and it's an understanding, man. You know? Okay. And that goes back into like ancient times, man. All the other kings and all that. They knew good and they knew evil, man. Why you think going into Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter? You know, matter of fact, I'm gonna read something real fast in there. All right, slide.
So YAHAWASHI said the things that he do, we shall do even greater.
That's right, Con. That's right. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1. All right, it says, "And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahawah thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that Yahawah thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth." All right? So he said he commanded you to do that. It wasn't a request. It's a command. And he said, if you do all these things, I will set you above all nations upon the earth. Now, how you know that's the truth? Because what? We're not on top of all the nations right now. We're at the bottom. Yo, we're literally the bottom barrel, man. Like a 211. You know, that's the bottom of the barrel of fucking alcohol, beer. You know? That's the bottom. And it gets you effed up real quick. You know? But that's where we at. Matter of fact, we're in Esau's place, and Esau's in our place. You know?
Right. The scripture says, I see servants upon horses.
That's right. Now, y'all, let's go here real quick.
Princes walking on servants.
And check this out. Now, this is where we at. This is Deuteronomy 28:15. It says, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahawah thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." All right, so hey, man, that was a prophecy that's happening. It's going on right now. You know, we're under heavy curses, man. And if you know the curses, you can read them. Look at how bugged out our women is, walking around with different color hairs and small ass clothes. You know, disrespect their husbands, sleep with multiple men. You know, that's a curse, man. And they're trying to act like other nations. When these other nations, the other like nations want to act. They want to be Eve, man. They want to be our women, man. But as the saying goes, we don't even need our women to create Israelite children, man. That's why we are the prize, man. And Eve, you about to understand that, because whatever seed is planted inside of you, whatever that man is, that's what it becomes. So you are of no significance, man. So get off your goddamn high horse, man. You can't create no nations, man. A man can do that. You know? But what they do here in Babylon, they give y'all all the authority in the world because they don't want us to exist. But at the end of the day, we always want to exist, man. The Lord said he will never forsake you or leave you, man. You ain't never going to get rid of the Israelite man. You gotta be out your goddamn mind. And why you think they always wanted to kill the Israelite man? Because they knew the power of us. They knew the power of our seed. They know the power of YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI, man. You know?
That's why Esau, when he says they have made their crafty counsel, you know, 'cause these Edomites, even they wanted to cut us off as being a nation. They can't do it.
Right.
You know? You can't cut with the Lord. You can't cut the Lord's inheritance.
Right.
So even at our lowest, man, you know, the Lord's still gonna be able to bring us back up.
That's right. Because what? We a great nation. These are great people. They just in derision right now. Check it out. This is Genesis chapter 12 and verse 1. I'm starting at verse 1. All right, it says, matter of fact, you grab Acts 7, start at verse 2. This is Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. It says, now Yahweh had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee. So he told him, yo, get away from your people. I got you. I'm going to take you here to a land what I'm going to show you. Right? It says, and I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. All right? So Abram, that's Abba, right? Which means father. And when he gave, that's Abram. Abram is Abba, which means father. So when you go into the word Abraham, and the Hebrew is Abraham, right? Father of many nations, man. And that's what the Lord made. So out of all different religions, they always talk about Abraham being the father. And Sarah, Sarah, in the Hebrew, that's your mother. She's the mother of us all, man. Abraham is the father of us. All right? It says, verse 3, it says, and I will bless them that bless thee. See that? I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. See that? In thee all families of the earth shall be blessed. Meaning what? They all got their own land. They all got their basically their land. You know, the sun rises on them. It sets on them. The Lord feeds their land, their animals. You know, so they're blessed by that. All right, but we are the ultimate blessing to this planet, man. The Israelite man. You know, the Israelite man. All right. But say they're gonna find out real soon.
Yeah, these heathens, a lot of them, in these in countries overseas, they know who we really are. They can't wait till we get back in power.
That's right.
You know, they like out of order. You know, but once because the wicked is ruling, everything's out of order, chaos. You know, but when we rule, we're gonna rule under the law, statutes, and commandments.
Right.
So it's gonna bring everything in this natural order, in this natural state. And yeah, the Lord's gonna destroy the majority of his people, the save a remnant. But we're gonna be greater in the kingdom.
That's right. That's right, yo.
Even in number, physically, you know.
That's right. Y'all got a swift one to bring that up. This is Proverbs chapter 29 and 2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. And when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. All right, so ain't nobody happy. The animals not even happy, man. That's why you saw that video when the animals attacked that Edomite in the woods, man. You know, ran down on him, man. And he's spraying all type of mace and all that at these animals. And and those are the spirits that's created for vengeance. That's going to put on those sore strokes in that day, man. But you starting to see it happen. Why you think you got these Japanese women, they want to pay thousands of dollars to have an Israelite baby's man? I mean, Slaki, to have an Israelite baby. You know, they paying Jake. You can't pay for my seed, man. You know? And that goes to show you how precious that your seed is, man.
Right.
know? That's how precious that it is. Because through our seed, through our loins, you know, YAHAWASHI came. Through the loins of Joseph. You know? And yo, back then, and Mary means, going to the name Mary, it means wish for a child, I believe. You know? Mary means to wish for a child. And yo, Mary, she was wishing, at that time period, during the Roman Empire, with Herod, I think it was Herod the Great was ruling. And that time period, all the women, they wanted to have the Messiah because they knew of the prophecies that he was coming. And they knew that he was coming through the loins of a man. You know, so they always trying to get pregnant. And they was looking, but the Lord, he shifts things up, man. And he gave that seed through Joseph, man. The bloodline of Malak Dawad, King David, man. The seed of Jesse. All right? So your seed is very important, man. You gotta understand that. Because you have the power. Your seed determines the sex of the baby and all that. The woman, she's just an incubator, man. Right. Just like Esau's flipped upside down, things are flipped upside down. When they got the heathen ruling over us and we on the bottom, they did the same thing with the women. They tried to put the woman over the man. You know, so woe to them that call good evil and evil good, man. You know? So you gotta understand that. And you niggas that bow down to your women, you's a sucker, man. That's my dad was saying, you's a pig, man. Straight like that. Because you don't have no authority, man. You don't have no backbone. And for one, you don't trust in YAHAWASHI, man. BAHASHAM, QADASH. And that's the bottom line, point blank, period, man. What you got, bro?
To back you up, Job chapter 8, verse 7.
Right.
Though thy beginning was small, yet thy latter end should greatly increase.
That's right.
You know, and those was talking about Job, because Job did get double the portion he lost. You know, we lost everything here.
That's right.
Job represents Israel.
That's right.
You know,
You're left.
though we be small, whatever, in every way, shape, and form.
Time.
You know,
Time.
that latter end, hey, is gonna increase.
That's right.
Everything, man.
That's right.
Everything, all everything.
That's right, bro.
You know?
That's right. It's going to be given back tenfold, man. You know, whatever you lose here in Babylon is worth losing because it belongs in Babylon. All right? If you ain't lose nothing here, then you're not gaining nothing on the other side, man. If you holding on to everything here, you're not a man of the Lord.
Yeah,
and you're trying to hold on to your life here.
That's why the scriptures say, woe to him that roughly paraphrasing that save his life but shall lose it.
So come. He that loves his life shall lose it.
You trying to save this world, really?
That's right. We ain't trying to save nothing. We trying to have ourselves be saved and delivered out of here. We ain't trying to save nothing in Babylon, man.
What you gonna take here with you?
That's right.
The only thing you can take with you is your faith. You
Right.
know? Which is a gift. Your faith, your integrity, things like that. You can't even take your own body with you.
That's right.
You know? That's 7. 7:1. It says, then said the high priest, are these things so? And he said, men, brethren, and fathers, hearken. The God of glory appeared unto our father Abraham when he was in Mesopotamia, before he dwelt in Haran.
That's right, see?
And said unto him, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred, and come into the land which I shall show thee.
That's right. That's going to like Saudi Arabia, that region, because that belongs to us. That's our land, and that's why the Lord he's replenishing it right now as we speak, man. Because you're starting to see new waters come out of there, right in the desert, where it never was rivers at all. And you can look that up for yourself and see that's the truth. You know? Yeah. And it's coming about, man. The Lord is preparing our kingdom for us now, man, as he's destroying theirs. You know? And he's going to send them over there to battle Jehoshaphat to perish, man. You know? got it, bro.
So then came he out of the land of the Chaldeans and dwelt in Haran. And from thence, when his father was dead, he removed him into his land wherein he now dwelt.
Right, so he took his father's bones and earth. That reminds me of with Jacob, man. Jacob said, he didn't want his bones to be buried in Egypt. You know? Because he knew that was a land of bondage. He was like, when you get moved, because he knew that they was going to be delivered from Egypt. So he's like, when you're removed from here, take my bones and bury them in the promised land. You know? That's where he wanted his bones to rest in. His final resting place, if you will. You know?
It says, and he gave him none inheritance in it. No, not so much as to set his foot on. Yet he promised that he would give it to him for possession, and to his seed after him, when as yet he had no child.
See that? He ain't even have no kids.
Right.
So no, that reminds me of Jeremiah when it says, before I formed thee, I knew thee. You know? He know you in the spirit world. We all in the spirit. That's where we come from, the spirit world, man. And the Lord knows our spirit when he puts it here. And before Abraham's seed, which was Isaac, that was the righteous seed that Abraham had, man. Abraham. Because it went from Abba to Abraham. That's what the Lord gave him that name. And told him he was to be a father of many nations, man. So before Isaac was born, Isaac was already promised the land, and Isaac was YAHAWASHI. Because Isaac gave Jacob and Esau their blessings. You know? Just like Adam, right? He named all the animals on the planet, right? That's YAHAWASHI, the first spirit ever created. If you can receive that. But here in Babylon, it tells you YOLO. You only live once. Because that's false information. You know? You want to talk about fake news? That's fake news, man. You know? That's fake news. Oh, you only live once. Come on, man. That's bullshit. Why you think you have a thing called what they say? Oh, I had deja vu. I felt like I was here before. And when you see, and that's how spiritual people is. Because of the food that you eat, the air that you breathe, and everything that you intake, that's what's taking your spirit away from you, man. Because back then they ain't had no chemtrails and none of that, man. But they still was trying to, you know, trying to mess with us, our bodies and everything. You know, the food was actually real food. You would slaughter a cow to feed your family right there, so it's fresh. No one there to get prepared right there in front of you. That's why when the king had a feast or something, like, yo, go slaughter the fattest calf and this and that and that. I'm gonna feed everybody. You had the freshest fruit because it came right off the vine, man. You know? Just like these devils have now, yo, these devils now, they not even really eating good like that, man. You know, you got Bill Gates making fake meat, and that's what he eats. He eats that shit. That's how fucking crazy these people are. Our people is very a very spiritual, gifted people, man. Yo, you got a whole nation in slavery right now, man. And you think that the Lord is not going to come and deliver his people the same way that he did in the time of Moses, man? These are facts. This is history. This ain't something that we making up. But they teach you here that all you was a slave. Nah, you wasn't always a slave. But they give you that Egyptology bullshit, that Kemetic bullshit. You're not fucking Hamites. You're Shemites, man. That's the seed that you come from, Shem as well, man. Look at the light pop on, man. You know, these niggas is crazy. They want you to think that you're everything but what you're not.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Come on, yo, bring that out, bro.
Really,
because it's just going into, and this is a heavy point right here, bro. With Abraham.
God, it says, verse 6, and God spake unto him on this wise, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land,
See that?
and that they should bring them into bondage and entreat them even for 100 years.
See that? Yo, so what? We was we were slaves. We were brought into that land to serve slavery at that time period. And yo, and when you go back in history, every time that we went off, what we brought out earlier about the sword, yo, the Lord, he allowed the sword to come put us in captivity. The Babylonians, they had us a lot, man. You know, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Egyptians. Every nation under the sun had us in slavery, man. Because you went off. And you can't even admit, like, yo, Lord, I was wrong, forgive me. But what you ever do, you want to buck up and blame the Lord for things, man. Like that song from Styles P. It's called Some Niggas, you know? And he said he going to ride. He said he going to ride he said he going to ride and blame God that he lived. I said, God damn, that's crazy. How you going to blame the Lord because you did something wrong and you lived? Like, our people, they don't make any sense, man. Their rationing and their reasoning is crazy. Because they're emotional creatures that was born of a woman and they were raised by it. And you can see the youth out here every day, how they act, man. They don't got no home training. How can a woman teach a man, raise a boy child to be a man? But she's not a man herself. All she gonna do is make him emotional. Exactly. This place is crazy, man. And it's backwards. Everything is backwards here, man. Everything. But people want to turn a blind eye to it. But yo, the Lord, he's just sitting back recording, man, because he sits on high and he sees everything, man. You know, you got it, brother. It's right.
Verse 7, it says, it says, and the nation to whom they shall be in bondage will I judge.
That's right. See that? Where a nation which we shall be bondage to where he judged. Are we not in bondage now when judgment is about to come? Right. And this is talking about Abraham. All right? The father of many nations, man. So he was being prophesied to at that time. Yo, this was going to happen to your seed, the righteous seed. The wicked seed, the hell with them, because they're going to be wicked anyway. Because that's what they was created to be, man. You know, so the angel was telling Abraham these things, man.
Right, yo, like the seeds of Abraham, from Isaac to Jacob many 12 sons, which became nations. We've been scattered through the four corners of the earth. So we're in bondage under all these different nations.
Right.
You know, to this day.
Right. And that's proof.
The Lord is coming back, and it says, scriptures say, there's going to be a day of the heathen. The Lord's going to get us, the elect, out of the bondage of all the hands of every nation.
Right.
We're going to inherit our home. You know?
That's right. That's right.
Everybody, man.
That's right, bro.
Right here.
That's right.
You can't even inherit your own inheritance. That's crazy.
Right. Yo, God.
They'll come, law enforcement come and take your family away if the woman just says a couple words.
That's right. Yep.
That just shows you, man. Like,
that's wicked, man.
There's no strength here.
That's right,
no strength is the Lord.
Right. Hey, Shalom, brother. YAHAWASHI, brother. Die. Poor Jerusalem. My brother.
Verse 7, it says, and the nation to whom, and it's primarily Esau, Edom, they're going to be completely, we don't die. They're going to completely be out the picture.
That's right, yo, cunt.
You know?
And you know what? And they know that. That's why if you are, well, it was a speech from Joe Biden, I want to say years ago. And he said, by the year, I forgot exactly what year he said, and that's how you know that they have an agenda and their years is pinpointed. You know, that's why we brought out that scripture that says, woe to them that write evil while they're on their bed, but it's in their hands to do so. Roughly paraphrasing, but he said by the years 20-something, it's not going to be no more black faces on the planet. Meaning they want to annihilate the Israelites, man. But see, the Lord, he got them in a chip bag because you got a lot of those, like Russians, man. Yo, you got Russians that's Israelite, but you got a lot of Russians that's Israelites. And I know because when I used to work at this European market, it was a lot of Russians and Ukrainians, Uzbekistanians, Turkish people who used to come through there. But like I used to look at certain Russians, and they spoke pure Russian. They spoke English too. But you had some, they dressed, the movement and how they talk, but they speak in Russian, but they move just like Jake. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, yo, that's a Jake, man. Like you can't deny when you know the spirit, man, and you can identify spirits. You know the spirit of your own people, man. You know, if you don't know the spirit of your own people, then the Lord is not dealing with you, man. You know, it's a thing called the wheat and the tares, and that's why the Lord shifted everything up. Look at this fucking guy. That's why the Lord shifted everything up, man. You know. So you got, and that's why when he said it's not going to be no more black faces on the planet and things like that, you don't even understand. He don't even understand that the Israelites are speckled birds, man. All right, speckled birds. So we look like all different nations. All right, and that's one of the mysteries of the scriptures, man. You know, we got the Romans over here. Look at, I'm gonna get him on camera. Look at the Romans. Romans over here, man. You got it, brother. That's a beautiful John right there.
It says, the nation to whom they shall be in bondage, but I judge in God, and after that shall they come forth and serve me in this place.
See that? Yo. So after, now, we had to go through all these different captivities. But the land where Abraham was standing at, you know, that's the land that we're going to be taken back to. And we're going to serve YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH in that place, which I said is Saudi Arabia, that region. And if you got an old Bible with had the pictures in the back, it'll tell you, it says the promised land and it's Saudi Arabia. And we actually had land, like you had the Gadites, the Reuben, Ephraim, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Manasseh, Issachar, Zebulon, Naphtali. But all those, like when you look at the scriptures in that land, right? It's Asher, Slakia. Can't forget about Asher. And it's one more, but I didn't come to me. I said it's Asher. This one is in my tongue, but that land, you can see the names of the like, how would you say here in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania, you would have these spirits is out here, man. But nah, you would have to old ass, man. But anyway, but you would like how you have in Pennsylvania, you got different cities and states and cities and towns and everything. That's how Saudi Arabia was with our different regions. You know, you have Benjamin, like I said, all the 12 tribes is right there, man. You know, in their own land. All right. Matter of fact, I think it was Levi, the one that I missed. It was Levi, if I'm not mistaken. You know?
Yeah, we're not.
That's right. We is like the sand of the sea. That's
We're
right.
not taking planes back to our own land.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, like, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're trying to beat the Lord. Like, you're trying to have your own save yourself. Like,
Right.
Yup.
Yep.
You know, because that land is going to be judged too. So you go over there, the books is going to hit certain places in these other countries as well. Esau's going to get their rocks up as well. But this place is going to be utterly, completely destroyed.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So that's why I made that lesson, man. There's only one way out. No matter where you at on the earth, there's only one way out. You know what I'm saying? Just because they're not going to be destroyed as Babylon, how you know your ass ain't going to get destroyed if you over there? You're not safe from your sins. You know, Esau think they safe from their sins in the bunkers.
Right.
Lord's going to take them out of that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Because everything has to, it's good. That's the real reset.
Right.
Everything is going to be reset. You know what I'm saying?
Like the first death.
From each individual to the animals, the insects to the trees. Everything
That's right.
is going to be back into its righteous state. You know?
Because Esau, and yo, when Esau talks about the great reset, they want to rewind time because they know Esau's aware of the scripture when it says better is the end of a thing than the beginning of thereof. So it's better for Esau to be out of power, and we know that. All right. So they want to take things back to the beginning of their power structure. But the Lord is letting them know, yo, you're at the end. You had your blessing. All right? All nations had their blessings, man. Every nation under the sun had a blessing. And they have a time to exist and a time to expire. All right? But right now is Esau's time to expire. You're like a product that sits on the shelf in the market. Right? It got an expiration date. So it has to be removed from the shelf and done away with. That's your shelf expiration date is over, man. So you're about to be removed out of power, man. That's how you had that damn Roman that was standing over there like he was intimidating somebody because he got on a white shirt. They don't even come here and even stand and look at us like that. So he came out of nowhere. Ain't nobody intimidated by you damn devils, man. You know, because our power is the ultimate intimidator. Rich, you know what? I'm gonna get a scripture on.
Yo, yeah.
It says the Lord shall threaten.
Sound like power.
That's right.
Alashaki.
That's right.
Demon like power.
That's right.
Cause yo, even when Jonah fled on the ship, you had these different nations on the ship, and they even knew when the storm hit. Oh, that's the God of the Hebrews, the Hebrew Israelites. So even the heathens knew, like, yo, don't mess with their God. So they had to throw him off the boat.
That's right, yeah.
Like, yo, your God's gonna destroy our boat. You better get off.
Jonah.
He
made the waves, and that was a heavy storm, but they knew that.
That's why they knew.
You know? Like back then, and that's why, like the Lord's name, they use it in vain all the time here in Babylon, man. They disrespect it. Like the brother was saying with the Olympics, they did what was it? The Last Supper. They mocked at the Last Supper, having them being all transgenders, man.
Crazy.
And that's the Passover. That's what the Last Supper was, the Passover. You know, which is a highly ranked holy day, man. Because that was the time when the Lord around the time when we was delivered out of Egypt, man. And the Lord he destroyed our enemies, man. The firstborn of all of them, man, woman, and cattle, man, beasts, all that. The firstborn of everything was destroyed. And why and who did that? YAHAWASHI did it. Why? Because he's the first spirit ever created. So he's the firstborn. So he took the firstborn of all yours. You know? And you gonna make a mockery of that with transgenders, man? Yo, you out your mind, man. And yo, that's another thing in that project. That's another thing in that project 2025 what they gonna be talking about. You can't go against talk about the happy people. Yeah, them happy people, man. With the rainbows. Reading rainbow ass niggas. They ain't gonna be able to speak against that. Because they the ones that's in bullshit, man. Look at Esau, he's a straight mo, man. He's happy as he gets. He's the happiest. You know?
He's the happiest.
Oh, God. That was it on that, brother? This might be a little bit. I got some right here, too.
I've already finished the
All right.
7 was the
Okay, so this is I'm gonna hop in Zephaniah chapter 3, start verse 1. I mean, it's talking about you Israelites, man. So it says, woe to her that is filthy and polluted, to the oppressing city. All right, and this is Babylon. That's the oppressing city. That's why the title of this letter, which is called "This Place is a Disgrace," man. All right, it says, woe to her that is filthy and polluted, that to the oppressing city. And like, look, that's some polluted stuff for you to. That's the same thing that they did in Sodom and Gomorrah, man. That's the same. That's why that place was destroyed. You know, and I'm talking about the Lord burnt that place to a crisp. The elements are burnt so bad you can't even burn them no more, man. Even if you try to light a fire to them, it's ashes. And that's what this place is going to become, man. All right, it says, she obeyed not the voice, she received not correction, she trusted not in Yahawah. She drew not to hear, Salaki, she drew not to hear near to her power. And that's talking about you Israelites. You ain't drawing near to Yahawah, man. All right, you're drawing to Esau, you know. We get that scripture too, man. It says, her princes within her are roaring lions, her judges are even wolves. They gnaw not to the bones to the marrow, you know. They gnaw not the bones to the marrow. All right, so let's talk about you different religious leaders, and I'm talking about you Israelites, even like the IUICs, Nates, your Wefis, you know, the ISUPKs, your Sakaris. Why? Because they're not teaching the whole truth, the 100% truth. They're not teaching that. They're not teaching that the RFID microchip is the mark of the beast, man. They're teaching damnable heresies, man, damnable doctrines, which is going to get you put in the fire, man. You know? It says her prophets are light and treacherous persons. Her priests have polluted the sanctuary. They have done violence to the law. You know? And that's why you Israelites, a lot of you niggas, man, you about to catch it, man. All right? You're about to catch it full-fledged, man. For going against YAHAWASHI, you think you're doing the right thing. All right? If you don't got the doctrine of YAHAWASHI, you're teaching bullshit. And there's no light in you, man. All right? It says, the just Yahawah is in the midst thereof. He will not do iniquity. Every morning doth he bring his judgment to light. All right? Every morning do he bring his judgment to light, man. Every time the sun come up, right now, judgment is being sent out and it's happening, man. All right? That's how serious the Lord is, man. All right, it says he faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame. I have cut off the nations, their towers are desolate. I made their streets waste, that none passeth by. Their cities are destroyed, so that there is no man, that there is none inhabited. I said, surely thou wilt fear me, thou wilt receive instruction, so their dwelling should not be cut off. However, I punished them, but they rose early and corrupted all their doings. You know? So you niggas that's going against Yahawah, YAHAWASHI, and all that, yo, look at the other nations that's been taken down, man. You know, the regions and all that. Look at them, man. All you gotta do is just go back in history. But yo, you go to high school and all that, they teach you got a history class, but they teach you history. Oh yeah, we won this war, we won that war, but they're not telling you prophecy, man. They're telling you things that already happened. The rising and the downfall of them. They don't ever teach the Israelites about their history. That's what we do. All right? And we're not just teaching history, we're teaching prophecy, which is the things that's coming to is going to come to pass. Esau's not going to tell you that, even though he knows that. He knows he's going down, man. He knows that he has but a short time, man. But he's not going to tell you that, you know. Yo, the brother got his second Ezra. I'm gonna grab that. Second Ezra 6 and 9. Yo, that's the truth. Second Ezra 6 and 9. All right, which reads, and this is a beautiful scripture, the water, bro. It says, Second Ezra chapter 6 verse 9. It says, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followed." That's right. That was right on time, man. You know, Esau is the end of the world, but Jacob is the beginning that followed. All right, because we're gonna have a world without end, man. And we always tell you about the downfall of this place, but we gotta tell you about the uprising of our kingdom. You know, starting with the elect, man. You know, those men that stand so boldly for YAHAWASHI, man. You know, even in the sight of death, man. You know, and like I said earlier about the intimidation. Right, these devils try to come and intimidate you with all this, with their alphabet guys and all that. You're not intimidating shit over here, man. And that's what y'all need to get through your thick fucking skulls. Ain't nobody scared of you, man. Never have been, never will be. As long as the Lord give me that spirit and keep that spirit on us, man. No weapon formed against us shall prosper, man. And we also understand that the Lord gave you that blessing. That's why the scriptures say, if a man's way so pleases the Lord, it says even his enemies will be at peace with him.
Yeah. That's why.
Go ahead, bro.
That's why Isaiah when he says, woe to them that go to Egypt for help, because there are many, people are gonna woe. The Lord said, woe to them that go to Egypt for help, which is the people that trust in His government, their refuge, their aid when all hell breaks loose. You know what I mean? Oh, because they see their military, they see their might, the army. You know, whatever they giving out in the midst of famine, so they're going to trust in that. You know what I'm saying? Rather than choosing the Holy One of Israel. Because, there's really more of us. There's really more of us than them. You know what I'm saying? So, you got to believe in that, though. You know what I mean? That's why Elijah's showing listening. You know what I mean? Well, the Lord gave him that vision and the angels around.
They was at a battle. They was in battle. And when they looked around, they seen all. They was like, oh, shit. Look at these niggas.
What's a gun to fucking Wolverine?
Yo, gun, gun.
What's a gun to the Hulk?
No, what's a gun to Magneto?
What's a gun to Magneto?
That nigga taking all your weapons.
Superman and shit.
Gun.
Like, that's the power that the Lord gave to certain men back then, in the ancient time.
That's right.
And they prayed.
Ooh,
you know,
like,
shackles, prisons couldn't hold him down.
What was the sword to Samson?
What was the sword to Samson?
And he killed all the men with the jawbone of an ass, man.
That might be a lesson, brother.
What
was the sword to Samson?
Yo, God, he killed all those men with a jawbone of an ass, man.
He made an ass out of it.
Yeah, kind of literally. He made him an ass man. You know? But this is Second Ezra chapter 16.
Like jackass.
Yo, cut. This is Second Ezra chapter 16. I'm gonna start at damn. Yo, here we go. I'm gonna start at verse 8. It says, "The mighty YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHWASHI sendeth the plagues, and who is he that drive them away? A fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? He shall cast lightnings, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, and who shall not be afraid?"
You got people that be afraid of the thunderstorm now.
Yo, I remember my aunt. Yo, cut. Yo, I remember my aunt.
I used to love it though.
Yo, my older cousin, she was an older lady. That's my grandma's cousin. But yo, Every time Cousin Pearl, yo, I'll never forget this shit. Yo, we used to have church outside with the tents and all that. So it was one time inside the church. As soon as that thunder rumble, yo, she jumped up and got the excuse so much. Yo, she hard ass. She went right home, you know. But yo, and that's what the brother said. Like, yo, when you and yo, just imagine, yo, like yo, the earthquakes. When the earthquakes come, people be bitching.
Yeah.
You know, because he's shaking up the whole earth. So, and the scriptures tell you in Isaiah, it says the earth shall roll to and fro like a drunkard. That's how many nukes going to be hitting this place. And they just had a scare in Yellowstone National Park, which is one of the biggest volcanoes on the planet, man. You know, it was steaming in there, and then people was all asking. They was like, oh, scared to death, man. You know, that's the Lord. Check it out. It says, Isaiah, 2nd Ezra 16 and 10 again. It says, he shall cast lightnings, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, and who shall not be afraid? YAHAWASHI shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to power at his presence? Come on, man. So the Lord, yo, he's going to destroy all this stuff, man. All right, it says, verse 12. It says, the earthquake and the foundations thereof, the sea riseth up with waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled. And the fishes thereof also before YAHAWASHI and before the glory of his power. For strong is the right hand that bendeth the bow, his arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world, man. And that's going into them nukes. All right? That's going into those nukes, and that's what's coming. World War III, man. All right? First, the RFID microchip has to be made mandatory, which they already have plans for that. You know, they already have plans for that, and that's why you're getting all these what's that? Skimmer scams when you slide your car and everything and taking your information. And they're passing it off, you know, to another, what's the name, you know? And they're selling it to another, to a third party, all right? But with that, man, we're gonna go to the classic. Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. It says, and he causeth both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that no man might buy or sell, save that he have the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding, count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, which in the Greek, that's kasa stigma, which goes into 666, all right? Brother we read one more scripture. Brother got up here to poor Jerusalem. And now with that, we're going to close it. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 27 and 1. And I love Psalms, man. Psalms is one of my favorite books of the Bible, man. This is Psalms chapter 27 and 1. It says, Yahweh is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? That's right. Yahweh is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? God, that's a great way to end it. Whom shall you be afraid, man? You know, like we said, we're not scared of Esau's devices. We don't fear none of that, man. All right. If you fear the one that created the creature, not fearing the creature, what's after with that, man?
Right.
All right. So Lord's willing, man, this was edifying. You know, you got something out of it. Till next week, we're going to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to your neck. Until the next lesson, we're going to say Mawafa Baba Ball and Kwam Yasharab. Shalom. Yo, the water for the precepts.